Hey everyone, welcome back to Peacock TV Spoilers, the only place where we try to decode the absolute insanity of Salem before it even hits your screen. We have been tracking this for weeks, and the latest bombshell about Susan Banks and EJ DiMera has completely shattered everything we thought we knew about the DiMera family right now. You guys, we all just assumed EJ was making some questionable business choices. We thought he was just stepping into his father's shoes because DiMera Enterprises needs a ruthless CEO. But oh man, we were so wrong. It is so much darker and more twisted than just corporate greed. And honestly, it is way more sinister than anything we could have predicted. Let's break down the main spoilers that are making my head spin. Susan Banks is officially coming back to Salem this summer. We all know Susan, and we love Susan. She is the ultimate protective mama bear, an absolute icon with her crazy teeth and wild outfits. But she is coming back because she has a terrifying premonition about the dark path EJ is on. But here is the massive twist that changes the entire landscape of Days of Our Lives. Susan doesn't just sense that EJ is acting like Stefano. She realizes with chilling clarity that EJ actually is Stefano. Yes, you heard me right. EJ DiMera is being mind-controlled, or partially possessed, or whatever you want to call it, by the consciousness of Stefano DiMera. And Susan is absolutely not going to let the Phoenix consume her son's soul. She is ready to fight a literal ghost, which is just so perfectly Salem. Because if you ask me, this is a brilliant but terrifying callback to the golden era of Duel. Let's be real for a second. Stefano is the Phoenix. He never truly dies. We have watched him use Dr. Wilhelm Rolf's mad science for decades to manipulate the minds of Salem's best and brightest. Does anyone remember the brain chips? Let's take a trip down memory lane. 10, maybe 20 years ago, Stefano put a chip in Hope Brady and turned her into Princess Gina. He wiped John Black's memory and turned him into the pawn. Stefano is the undisputed king of psychological manipulation. So why on earth did we think EJ wearing Stefano's legendary family ring was just a symbolic gesture? That is crazy. I personally believe that the DiMera family ring is the conduit. Think about it. Dr. Rolf has been suspiciously quiet lately. What if that ring has a microneedle that pierces the skin? What if every single time EJ puts that ring on, Rolf's latest serum is slowly absorbing into EJ's bloodstream? It could be rewriting his neural pathways to upload Stefano's stored memories and personality. It makes total sense. Look at EJ's recent actions. His personality has shifted in a really disturbing way since that ring went on his finger. Suddenly, EJ is wrapped up in this deadly cover-up involving Coraceal at DiMera Pharmaceuticals. Now, let's talk about Coraceal. The official story is that it's a pharmaceutical disaster. We know from the timeline that Sarah Horton and Brady Black are playing detective. They are hunting down the source of the tainted drugs that killed Sarah's patient, Destiny. They even tracked down Liam Saleko in the process. And then we have poor Holly Jonas collapsing at the Horton cabin and then passing out again. Everyone is terrified she took the tainted pills. But what if this entire drug crisis is just a smokescreen? What if the Coraceal victims aren't just tragic accidents? What if those poor victims are actually failed test subjects? What if DiMera Pharmaceuticals is using Coraceal to test the brain mapping technology needed to resurrect Stefano's mind, and the patients died because their brains couldn't handle the consciousness of the Phoenix? Mind blown. It makes the drug storyline so much more sinister. It's not just greedy corporate negligence. It's a literal mad science experiment happening right under Salem's nose. And EJ is orchestrating it because Stefano is pulling the strings from inside his own head. And look at how EJ is treating the people around him. He is actively threatening Kristen with absolute, brutal revenge. Now, I am going to be totally honest here. I have zero sympathy for Kristen DiMera. I really don't. Let's be real. She has ruined so many lives, stolen babies, and caused so much chaos that watching EJ finally teach her a lesson is actually super satisfying. I said what I said. Kristen deserves the karma. She literally tried to have Johnny killed by Sophia Choi. But then again, maybe I'm being too harsh. No, actually, she deserves it. But the way EJ is going about it, it's not just angry brother stuff. It is cold, calculated, Stefano-level destruction. It is terrifying to watch. But then we have Gwen Rizchek. Gwen is shaking in her boots. She is taking immediate precautions because she genuinely believes EJ is going to kill her. That is wild. Gwen, the ultimate schemer, has finally met a monster she can't outsmart. But the old EJ wasn't a cold-blooded killer who would just casually take out Gwen without a second thought. That is the ruthless pragmatism of Stefano bleeding through EJ. It is Stefano's total lack of empathy taking over. He is looking at Gwen like a bug that needs to be squashed, and it is honestly chilling. And we cannot ignore the most tragic piece of this entire puzzle, Lexi Carver. The spoilers show that EJ played a massive role in bringing Lexi back to life, only for her to face death all over again, because the resurrect serum is failing. Why would EJ mess with Lexi's peaceful rest? Because Lexi is Stefano's daughter. If Stefano is controlling EJ's mind, of course he would order Dr. Rolf to resurrect Lexi. Stefano always wanted to control his family. He collected his children like chess pieces. Think about Dr. Rolf telling EJ that he fixed the resurrect serum, the super serum too. It was all a lie. One of the lab rats died of organ failure, and now Lexi is getting dizzy and facing the exact same terrifying neurological symptoms. The trauma this is causing Abe and Theo is unforgivable. Abe is completely torn between Paulina and Lexi, and he just had that awful run-in with them at the Juneteenth festival on his and Paulina's anniversary. Theo is watching his mother die all over again. EJ is going to take all the heat for this, but it isn't EJ's fault. It is the phoenix pulling the strings from beyond the grave. This brings us back to our heroine, Susan Banks. Susan has always been the quirky, eccentric, lovable mom with the fake teeth and wild outfits. But do not underestimate Susan. When she looks into the eyes of her beloved son, she doesn't see the man she raised. She is seeing the cold, calculating, reptilian stare of the phoenix himself, staring right back at her. Susan is about to go through the psychological battle of the century. I am predicting right now, you guys, that Susan is going to team up with Marlena Evans. Why Marlena? Because Marlena knows exactly what it feels like to have your mind hijacked by a dark, demonic entity. Marlena survived demonic possession. Twice, actually. So she is the absolute perfect person to help Susan perform a psychological exorcism on EJ. Imagine those scenes. Susan and Marlena, two women who have been tortured by Stefano in completely different ways, teaming up to save EJ's soul from a microchipped ring. It sounds insane, but you get what I mean. It is the perfect soap opera storytelling, and it all connects back to the chess set. Chad and Belle are over there literally finding hidden keys and 1,000 Italian lyre bills inside Stefano's old chessboard. Stefano is leaving breadcrumbs. He left that chess set to taunt Marlena and John, but what if it was also a countdown? A countdown to his own return via EJ's body. The missing pawn? Maybe the missing pawn is EJ himself. Stefano turned his own son into a pawn. It is so brilliant and so evil. But here is the thing that really keeps me up at night. If EJ keeps justifying this transformation, if he keeps telling Susan that the DiMera family needs a strong leader, then the original EJ might be erased forever. The more Salem treats EJ like a monster, the faster Stefano's mind control takes permanent root. EJ is literally transforming into the ultimate villain. And Susan is the only one with a mother's love strong enough to shatter that cursed ring and break Dr. Rolf's hold on him. It is terrifying. It is brilliant. This is exactly the kind of gothic, over-the-top soap drama we have been begging for. But I need to hear from you guys because my head is spinning and I am exhausted. Here is my question for the comments today, and I want you all to sound off. Do you think EJ secretly wants Stefano to take over his mind so he doesn't have to feel guilty about his crimes? Or do you think EJ is a total victim of Dr. Rolf's cursed ring? Drop your wildest theories below. And if you want to survive the absolute chaos hitting Salem this summer, you need to subscribe. Hit the like button, turn on notifications, and keep watching Peacock TV. Spoilers, because we are watching the DiMera empire crumble, and we are loving every single second of it. Catch you all in the next one.